Greetings and salutations again, my fellow Illuminaires. We have another wonderful episode of the Procast, episode number 12. Joining me, as always, is going to be world-renowned player, Mr. Thiago Santana is in the building, and we are joined by the current and reigning Digital Lorcana World Champion and prominent all-star and Italian mega hunk, Mr. Federico is in the building joining us today. So we got a nice special early episode to accompany some of the European players. And we can talk about some of the things that happened in Brazil this weekend and also what's going to go on into the wilds unknown. But gentlemen, as we start the show, as we always do, quick, Thiago, how you been? Weekend update.
I'm good. Just got back from Brazil. I had pretty crazy flight itinerary where I went to 6 different places, like 4 different countries or whatever, but made it home in one piece and slept for about 3 hours before already diving into Infinity. So we're always going, and just excited to kind of explore a new format right now.
Right on, right on. How about you, Federico? How was your time? Are you back home now? You feeling good?
Yeah, finally back home after almost missing my flights. So yeah, gladly. It went all good, just 12 straight hours to Rome. And now, basically yesterday and today just slept the whole day. And yeah, we're back on track.
Nice. And wrapping it up with our current and reigning world champion. He's currently under the weather, but DKP, thank you for joining us. How are you feeling this morning or evening?
Okay, I guess. Okay enough to talk with you guys.
Right on. Well, again, I want to thank you guys all for being here for another wonderful episode. We'll start the show just like Thiago was saying. There was, if you're just tuning in, there was a major Digital Lorcana tournament in the country of Brazil, São Paulo. There was a Digital Lorcana challenge there. Huge congratulations to Zan Syed. He won that event, clinching his 3rd Digital Lorcana challenge victory. But there were a ton of world-class cards members that were there, and they all performed quite nicely as well. So I think that's the great space to start the show is kind of recapping that tournament, some of the things that went well, some of the things that didn't go so well, and some of the things that maybe we could change in the future about the tournament itself, but also about how the meta went. So we'll start with you, Thiago. You were there. Can you just kind of lay the groundwork? How was the vibe of that tournament compared to some of the tournaments that you've gone to all over the world?
Yeah, it was really cool. I think it's much more similar to one of the Asian DLCs because the DLCs in the US and Europe tend to have way more players, right? Like either 2,000 or 4,000 players. And the DLCs in the East all had like 300 players or 400 players, and this tournament was just about the 450 player mark. So you kind of got the same like very intimate vibe that those tournaments have, where it's like the same few dozen players that are traveling to all of them. Plus you get to like kind of meet all of the people in the local scene. This one, there's a lot more players from North America that traveled than typically travel to a lot of these international tournaments. So it was kind of cool to see all of them at one of these, like one of the tournaments outside of just like North America. So it was a little bit different. We saw like the top cut was extraordinarily stacked as a result of it. But yeah, it was just like we had a nice setup. The tournament was right by a hotel, so most of the people stayed at the hotel, and then Robert hooked us up. We got like a conference room, so we were able to test with everybody leading up to the tournament, and yeah, everyone was in pretty good spirits, and then had some really strong results.
Nice. Okay, okay. I mean, it seemed like I had the opportunity to kind of watch a lot of it on the restream, saw a lot of the feature matches, and it did kind of seem like it had still that Disney or kind of challenge feel to it. It seemed like the players in their local community were there ready to play, but it did seem like a lot of players were showing up. So I would like to kind of talk and more about that format before we deep dive some of the things that happened there and some of the performances and all the deck stuff. What do you guys think about that format? I'm gonna throw it to you, Federico. We had to play 12 rounds of Swiss, followed by a top 32 single elimination. What were your thoughts on that format? And is that something you liked, or is that something you would like to see different?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to jump last thing Thiago was saying
Hmm.
about the community and the environment. I really felt like the atmosphere was really a good one. Like the Brazilian guys was just amazing. Everyone like didn't talk that much English, but they
Yeah.
were happy to play, and that's the first thing you wanna see in a room crowded with Lorcana players. So it was just a very, very good environment overall. About the format, it was a weird tournament, man, because like you had to make the first cut was after 18 points, so you had to make 6-2 in order to make day two. And as usual, then you had the other 4 rounds, right, of Swiss. But we had to play the first of those four on day one. So day one was 8 rounds plus one. That was supposed to be in day two. So we played the ninth round on Saturday, and the cut, like the 6-2 players above that score was just 57. So it was a little bit weird with, mathematically speaking, for the top cut, and you actually had 50% more chance to make top cut if you just made day two, which pretty insane, I'd say.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like we were thinking like with some calculations, some X4 could have made it as well in the top 32, but in the end, if I'm not wrong, X13 all made it, and the last one, the 32nd, was X13, with the 33rd being an X4. So almost an X4 made it into the top cut, which is, yeah, interesting to say the least. But yeah, it was a cool experience. Definitely would recommend to go back to the next one. And yeah, but like, of course, there was a gap, especially first rounds between, because there were a lot of new players were just approaching the game, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I think that's pretty safe to say. We were able to
yeah,
see some of that on the stream. There were people who were very new to the game, but that's a good
that's
thing
it.
though too. You want to be able to encourage more people to come out, especially in a community like Brazil. They're very new to Lorcana in general, and just having them showing up and being represented. Granted, the skills are going to have to take some time to develop, but I think with this Lorcana challenge being so successful, then maybe more people can continue to grow and get better. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think that format was very interesting to see, especially when people can draw so early on and still potentially have the ability to be alive and well towards the back end of it. But we'll kick to you, DKP. Congratulations, by the way, on your sixth, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golden Mickey that you achieved in this tournament. What were some of your overarching thoughts on Brazil? We're talking about the event itself. You've been to a ton of Lorcana events. Where would you put this one at in terms of ranking, and also the format and of that tournament?
Overall, I would put it in the middle. Wasn't the best location I went to, but wasn't also the worst. So I would say, yeah, in the middle. Enjoyed the vibe. Then the food, the meat there was brilliant, like
Mm.
insane. So I enjoyed that probably the most out of even over the Mickey. Yeah, and for the format, so we knew already that.
All right, I'll say it again, DKP. I think you're breaking up a little bit.
All right, until he comes back, I'll kind of piggyback off of what Fede said. I think that the format kind of lent itself to a lot of weird outcomes. Like we had people kind of taking a bunch of draws in the middle of the tournament, which is not really ideal just because like so many of the people who made day
A
two would
better
make it to the
feeling.
top cut. Okay, wait, do we have him back? Or
Oh,
so many
yeah.
of the people who
Dissect?
made day two would make the top cut, and then um, it was just like more important to make day two than it was to like have a good record going into it. Just like making the cut was
Yeah,
enough to like give
exactly.
yourself a solid spot in the tournament. And then
Yeah,
there's also another thing where like I think this tournament had the biggest skill disparity between some of the players because it was like so stacked. Like probably like 25 of the 30 best players in the world were at it. And then you also had these extraordinarily new players or people who didn't have all the cards they wanted. So then it like added a bunch of variance into like who did you get? So like one of my friends who won a Mickey in Richmond and then topped Ghent, his at round two when he's 1-0 pairs against Sky, and then in round seven when he's 4-2 playing for day two plays against Ed. So like some people just have these like completely like horrendous pairings where they just have to play against like the the best of the best, and then like in other circumstances they could have like very easily made day two and then easily made the top cut, but then just like some misfortune and you just have a way harder tournament than anyone else has to. But
yeah. Like
do we
the
have you back?
tournament's experience
Maybe?
was
Okay.
really
Yeah.
different for many
So
people. That's
yeah.
true.
So did we? You cut off after you said it was in the middle. So
Oh,
we just got you back now. So I don't know if you want to like repeat what you were saying or yeah, finish your thought.
okay.
Yeah.
One sec. Oh yeah. So no, overall, I agree. I didn't notice I was breaking up. So yeah, I think overall it was still a really hard tournament because if you go in with the goal of yeah at least top four for the Mickey, but also winning to get the Worlds invite, you need to be prepared to face like the best players. And to be honest, the best players they are in majority decide to play dogs. That's what you could have seen in the choices of my deck list. I added like one more Wasabi, almost put in another Tigger to just combat like yeah the best players on dogs. So yeah, that was like a huge thing, right? Like had to be prepared to beat them to win the event. So I mean, if I would have won the top four, I would have faced Zay in the finals. So that was like the latest point. I could have faced someone on the strong dog deck. So yeah, that reflected in the entire composition of the event.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's just something that I would like, and I think we were talking about this a bit offline too. Is like I would enjoy there to be some type of standards across all of the DLCs, no matter what country you're in, no matter how many people are there. There should be some type of implemented standard because I wasn't at DLC in Brazil. However, I still went 1-2 in that tournament, which is insane. I played 3 rounds in that tournament. I wasn't even there. Okay, I beat somebody and I wasn't even there because there were so many buys that were given out. That's my fault. I should have dropped from that tournament, but there were just so many buys that were passed out in those early rounds because of people, not showing up. I think there should be a protocol where you drop all the players before the tournament starts to kind of squeeze out a lot of those buys so those things wouldn't happen because I gave someone 2 free wins for a tournament that I wasn't even there while someone is now sitting down playing against DKP in that round. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, like first round there were actually 60 buys or something like that.
Crazy. That's
Oh, I
insane.
I realized I was muted. But yeah, I think the in these tournaments it's completely ridiculous, right? Like Fede said, 60 buys is so outrageous for a tournament that's 440 people. That's literally like 15% or whatever of the event. But
Yeah, more than
I
10.
think we do a check-in where you have to go in, show them your ID, they hand you a badge. I don't understand why they don't just like drop everybody that did not check in. I don't know how like the process works on their back end, but like from as an outsider, it feels like they could just like do the check-in and then if you don't check in, you're not in the event and then you're not handing out free wins to people. Like to me, I don't see why they couldn't just like not include the people who don't check in because it's
Yeah.
like you can't be at the event anyways, right? So it's like if
You
they're
didn't
at the
check it.
event, they would have checked in. So
Or at a minimum, you if you didn't submit a deck list, then you're just out. Like round
yeah,
one, that's just part of it. That's round zero is check into the tournament, submit your
so,
deck list. If you don't do both of those things, I mean, if you do one and not the other, then okay, maybe they'll send a judge to come and look at you, or a lore guide to come and check you out or something. But if you
yeah.
don't do both, you should just automatically just be dropped out of the tournament to just keep the tournament integrity at its highest possible level. But that's just something I think is a very easy fix, and I think we can do that and make the tournament a lot better because 60 buys in round number one, and also buys in round number two and round number three. Because again, I went 1 and 2, so they didn't drop me until I was eliminated from the tournament or whatever. And then so that's multiple buys that I personally get. I gave out 3. I took a buy. Like I got a buy. I wasn't even there. So it's
You weren't even
insane.
in the continent.
I wasn't even in the country. So it is what it is, man. But that's some very interesting conversation. I'm sure we could talk about this all day. But we kind of want to change gears a little bit. Again, I want to give all the shout outs to Zan. I think he had an incredible tournament, incredible deck, incredible run. But there were some things there, and I don't want to go too hard on it because Federico, you were involved in that directly, and DKP could be biased. So I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I would like to talk about this because this is an opportunity for people to learn and get better. And I will be not a great host if I don't at least mention some of the things that went down. And maybe we can use this as a time to kind of talk about ways to make it better from a pro player standpoint, because I'm not a pro player. You guys are. And I just want to see what your guys' thoughts and processes are. So what I'm referring to is that there was a situation in this tournament against a match that you were playing in a very high pressure situation where your opponent inked twice per turn. That's something that happens all the time. It's a mistake. Some people say it could be called cheating. Some people say it's just something you got to pay attention to. I just want to open the air real quick, and we'll throw it to you, Federico. What are your thoughts on the double inking situation, and how can we fix it? Or I mean, I don't want you to put your opponent on the spot. Do you think it was malicious? I know you're fatigued, they're fatigued. You didn't catch it. I mean, you're playing too. You're a pro player. You can see if they're inking twice. So what were some of your thoughts on that event as it went down?
So as you were saying, I don't really want to go too deep into this right
Yeah,
now, but yeah, surely things like this
for
happen
sure.
all the time, and we were lucky enough that it was on streaming. But I really think that things that gotta change is beyond, the table. Because next to us there were 2 judges, and none of us four actually caught it. But yeah, I mean, we're all humans, mistakes can happen and whatever. Um, but like, it's always weird when this kind of stuff happen because we were on streaming and they actually caught it after the game 2 ended. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was a friend of mine, Luca, who actually caught it on streaming and went to the judge station, to tell to the future match area, and everything stopped and they tried to figure it out what happened and whatever. And yeah, they just decided that it was a warning was enough. I mean, we can all argue about if a warning was enough or not. Lorcana policies always try to be friendly to the players, and in a competitive environment such as this one, especially when you're in top 8, but even if it's just round 1 of the tournament, we can argue if that is fair or not. So, but I feel like every single time, and that's a thing I wanted to discuss with you guys, is that every time we go to different countries that we're lucky enough, we're blessed enough to go this for hobby and for work. Um, all there are many times where the rules are slightly different from the other tournaments. Like what I really wasn't getting was like top 32. It wasn't open deck list,
Mm.
and it was timeless, such as a final. And it was such a weird outcome because at one point I won my top 32 match, and the judges arrived and told me that I could play the top 16 while my my table next to me was still playing the top 32. So I think there's just a little bit of chaos and confusion, and I don't think it should be. Um, I don't think it should be like this. Like if there's a protocol that we have to follow, and if there's rules that we gotta follow, then be it. But not that every single time there's something else, as Thiago was telling us before. Like in Singapore, like even there, top 64 was without open deck list, and top 32 as well. But it was best of one, and every single time in different countries there are different rules. So I don't know if it's correct, even if it's just their policies. But it would be amazing if every single tournament would have had the same rules applied for all of them. And yeah, that's it.
There's a lot to unpack there. Like, I think what you said about the format, the different DLCs all having different formats is like something that we really need to change. I think in some, like, we've played in countries like Singapore and Hong Kong where it's top 64 is best of one closed deck list, and then top 32 is best of one open deck list, and then top 8 is best of 3 open deck lists, and like it's changing within the tournament, and then in all the other tournaments it's like top 32 open deck lists. In Bologna, we had open deck lists, but they hadn't printed out our deck lists. So then you're just like handing your opponent your deck for them to sort and then like remember it
crazy.
from there. In some, it's like you get to see the deck list at the start of the game. And then you put it away, and then as you're shuffling up from game 2, you get to look at the deck list again. In other ones, there's like a timed portion where you get to look at their deck list, and then um, also, Fede said that here in São Paulo it was untimed top 64 or top 32 rounds. Fede, do you remember how you won your top 64 game in Singapore?
Yeah, I definitely do. I
So,
wasn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically in Singapore it was a timed round, and then they went into time, and then what happened when you guys went into time?
Yeah, so basically, I had to just push some lures. I was playing purple steel and was playing blue green, and my opponent decided to not quest with what was that? Hades or something?
Baymax, something like that, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, Baymax or Hades, just a two lure guy, and I ended up winning because I went to 19, and he could have gone just to 18 if I'm not wrong. So yeah, but it was just best of one. It was in time, so just 4 rounds for turns to play it out. It was just a whole different story, and I probably would have lost if it was on time. So it's
Yeah, so
just
basically in the top cut rounds, if you go into time, they can't give a draw. So then they just give the win to whoever has most lore points.
That's
But then
insane.
the opponent didn't know that that was the rule, so the
Get
opponent
out.
didn't quest with their two quester to get to like 17 lore or whatever. And then Fede was able to pass him by 1 lore, and then he ended the game with more lore to eliminate the guy from the tournament. And so like it was like best of one, so it was like probably like a 25-minute top cut round or whatever, and then yeah,
yeah.
they just went into time, and then like the next tournament it's on time top cut, so it's pretty. Um, I think they really need to standardize it, especially for something like a top cut. Like a DLC top cut there should be like this uniform practice, like a standard that all the tournaments have. I understand that like there's different scheduling constraints and whatever, depending on the venue or whatnot, but it's pretty wild
Yeah.
the differences between these tournaments,
Well, that's the note.
particularly in
That's a
tournaments.
note for all you kids watching at home. If you're going to go to a tournament, make sure you learn the tournament rules and try to use them to benefit yourself. I think that is a part of playing this game, especially on the high level that these gentlemen play on. If you go into a tournament just blind and you make assumptions of how it's going to work, you're going to cook yourself. You have to actually sit down with the TO, talk to the judges, talk to the lore guides, find out how the exact ins and outs of every specific tournament you're going to go to, and see how you can kind of work that, because if you're not playing the tournament, you're going to be playing yourself, and that's not going to be a healthy thing for you. You're probably going to sell yourself short, I would say. You guys agree
And
with
then
that?
yeah, something else is like I know DKP and Fede are both very affected by the scandal that happened where the person double linked on stream. Um, this happened in a match against Federico in top 8, playing for a Mickey, and then also considering that Zan was in the finals and is already qualified to Worlds, whoever won Federico's next match against DKP would get at minimum a Worlds pass down slot from Zan. And also just the opportunity to win for both of these guys. It'd be their second DLC win. That would be pretty historic. And so I understand why they don't want to comment on it a lot. There's a lot of moving parts to these things, but I'll say from my perspective, I think it's a little bit ridiculous how this keeps happening in tournaments. I think that multiple times people have won golden Mickeys. Multiple times in the last couple of months, people have won golden Mickeys after having been caught doing suspicious things. And so I don't think that it's the way I want my game to be represented. I think it's a shame that it's happening on camera. I think it's a shame that it's happening at all. I think it's a shame that these people are welcome to come back to more tournaments. While I do believe that people should have more chances to redeem themselves, I do think that there should be some punishment. I don't think that it's okay that people are just able to get away with whatever. I think that we need to like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it was malicious or not. I think that if you did something that was against the rules that gained you an advantage, that's not okay.
Right.
I think that especially it doesn't matter if you're playing for a $10,000 Mickey or if you're playing for a world slot that's worth well over $10,000. Like, to me, it's just if you do something against the rules that gave you an advantage, that's a problem. And then I think that sure, not everybody should be suspended for making a mistake, but I think a lot of the problem comes with their philosophy that they want the same rules enforcement at each level in the game. So they don't want people to like be intimidated to go to a DLC because it's stricter rules. But I think when you get deep into these tournaments, like in Magic, for day twos of Grand Prix, which were like kind of similar to DLCs, right? They're like these over 1,000-person tournaments that were kind of open to anybody. They had professional rules enforcement, or at the Pro Tour, which like I guess would be similar to like the Continentals or whatever. There's professional rules enforcement, which is a more strict rule sets than the normal. So the DLC day one can be your set champs rule sets, and then you have a different rule sets that different standard that you hold people to, because I don't think it's okay that people are like winning Mickeys in sketchy ways. Not like this person's particularly, but just in general, like this is not the first time it happens, and it's not going to be the last time it happens. It happened in the last big broadcasted DLC, and so the person that hurts the most with these people being in are the new players, because what ends up happening is they have such an aversion to like getting like to punishing the cheaters or whatever, or giving penalties and whatnot, that what ends up happening is there's no like public ledger that like keeps track of the cheaters. So then what happens is in all of the back channels, like all of the people in the community and the pros and whatever, they all get to whisper back and forth like, oh yeah, if you're playing against this person, be careful. He did this and this and this in this tournament. If you're playing against that person, be careful. He did this, 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 this. And then the people who don't know this are the people who are not in those circles. And so they are the ones harmed the most because they don't know to watch out for this person, or they don't know that this person's been caught doing wrong things before. And so by like trying to have such light rules enforcement to not intimidate the casual players, you end up creating an environment that's much worse for the casual players because they're much more susceptible to being the victim of something like this than someone else. Even though it can happen to anybody, and in this situation, it did happen to somebody who is a DLC champion who topped worlds to all that. But like, in my opinion, it disproportionately hurts the newer players, and I find that to be a bit problematic. And I think that I think it's just like not really super acceptable that it's just happens at the frequency that it happens at. And I mean, obviously, I'm personally biased in the situation. I would have liked my friend to beat him, and then I would have liked my two friends to face off for a world slot. Like I want, like, by no means you can like, by no means am I unbiased here, but in general, like, this has been my opinion when this was not the situation, when it was somebody I don't know playing against somebody who is having some foul play and winning a Mickey. So it doesn't matter what they're winning. It's just if people are doing things against the rules, and yeah, I think
Right.
that there needs to be
I think
some
I agree
sort of
with I think I agree with
Right.
everything that you said, and I am going to be a little hypocritic, or a little bit of hypocrisy here, is because I think that there should be two sets of rules for types of events, types of things like this. I think in the earlier rounds, maybe early rounds of Swiss, you have one rule. Maybe you get a game warning for that because again, you're trying to encourage the new players. But when you get to the top cut and you're at the top tables and you're on the feature match, that's when the rules really need to be amplified to the next level because you're projecting your game outward. And if it's consistently where you're showing things of people mishandling the game, misinterpreting the rules, cheating on the rules, that's going beyond just the gameplay. Now you're making the entire game look bad on the from a marketing standpoint, because this thing happens, like you said, very consistently. These things are happening. So I think at a very minimum, this should have been a game loss. Am I saying that Manuel did anything wrong? It was an accident. It clearly was an accident. I don't know this gentleman. He seemed like he's very forthright, but just looking at his mannerisms, he forgot to alter his hand in one of those games. Okay, he was just so nervous playing in this environment that this kind of a thing could happen when you have nerves, you have the bright lights, you're playing against a great player. These things happen. So I'm not saying he did it on purpose. It was not malicious at all, but still it happened, and there needs to be a punishment for the crime that was committed, and it should have been a game loss. It would have been the easiest, clearest accepted game loss in the history of the game, but it didn't happen, and we go next.
And as you're saying about like the stream and whatever, like we do have different standards you're held to when you're playing on stream. Like people don't always exert all of their ink to play their cards, but let's say I have 7 ink, I play a 4 cost character and a 3 cost character, don't exert any of my ink and pass. Like in the normal game, in your tournament, nobody would say anything. You just move on. Like, okay, yeah, that was legal for you to do. But in the stream match, they're like, exert your ink, exert your ink.
Right.
When you get the turn passed to you and you draw for a turn and then start thinking, then the judge comes to you. They're like, you have to ready your characters before you draw, and then they make you ready everything, and then you proceed to do your turn. So they do hold you to like by the book the rules when you're on the stream. So I like they're already like making you play different. So it's already like intimidating for people to go on the stream. I don't understand why like it's why we can't make like the people in day 2 have to play with a stricter rule set. I think, yeah, I know they don't want to like copy Magic or whatever, but that's literally what Magic did. Like if our tournaments, the standard format, which is like 8 rounds Swiss day 1 and then 4 rounds Swiss day 2, cut top 32. It was 8 rounds Swiss day 1 on competitive rules or whatever, which is like we have like set champs and those things, and day 1 of DLCs be competitive rules, and then day 2 and top cut or the premier events that you have to qualify to, like continentals or worlds, are like on professional rules. Like I don't see what the problem with something like that is. Like I understand that you have to like switch over nights the rule sets, but anybody who is making day 2 of one of these DLCs should be capable of understanding that they need to play the game with
Yeah,
the rules that it has.
for sure.
Yeah, I again, you don't have to say much about it, DKP. I know that you yeah have to be
Yeah.
careful and whatnot, but if you do want to just chime in with a couple quick thoughts, we'd be here interested.
Okay. Let me recall it for a few secs. So for me personally, we have to enforce just stricter rules in terms of like okay, how should I put it? Yeah, I agree that their approach of have like not making people afraid to join DLCs is important, but they cannot deny that the things we are playing for are worth a lot, right? And also they like in the beginning they underestimated how big Lorcana will be. I talked with I forgot if it was a designer or whatever, or like a community manager, I think, at one DLC, and he told me they expected the Mickey to be like $500 or something, or no, 5,000 max, 5,000 max, like the peak, and I was like, ooh, okay. So they vastly like underestimated everything, and sometimes still feels like they don't understand their role in all of this. Like in the general consensus in playing such a for high stakes is no matter the intent, the moment you do something like this irreparable to the game state, you get punished severely, no matter the intent. The intent, if you can see intent, that's a ban. If you don't have intent, it's still game loss at least. DQ quite often. Like actually DQ happens in Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and all the other games quite often. The moment you're doing something like that, um, and yeah, but at least game loss, right? So I would like, I would like to see them stepping up and just punishing harsher, regardless of the intent. And yeah, that's what I really want for the game, to just go into a direction where I feel I wouldn't say safe, but where I feel like the competitive integrity is um,
Maintained.
always
Yeah.
maintained. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
it is feeling safe, right? Like you play a tournament, you don't want to always have to feel like you have to look over your shoulder because the rules aren't going to protect you. And then even if you do catch a cheater, it's so rarely amounts to anything. Like one of our other teammates in this tournament, somebody he hurled his Thunderbolt in his discard pile, and then he snuck it into his hand, and then our teammate called him out, and then they called the judge, and then eventually that card was flipped over to be the he hurled his Thunderbolt. That should have been in his discard pile. But what did that amount to? Nothing. They just moved on. I don't even know if the guy got a warning. They just said like, "Oh, this shouldn't be here," and then they moved on. So the it does just create this unsafe environment for people where people are feel perfectly fine to cheat, and if they get caught, sure, they take their warning, but in reality what's happening is they're doing this extremely frequently, and then every once in a while they get caught, and even if they get caught, it's not really that big of a deal. And so that is, yeah, pretty unacceptable, and I don't think like it they are helping people in the way that they think they are. I think it's really, really harmful to the game, and yeah, to the reputation of the game, to the people playing the game. It to me is extremely damaging.
I got one more thing that I want to add on to this before we can probably move on, because I know we want to spend just a little time on this, but just in the world where that were to happen and we were to get more aggressive on the punishments, do you think that opens up opportunities for more rule sharking to take place? Like an example, if you see your opponent make some kind of infraction that you know could lead to a potential game loss, and you just let them do it, you call the judge and now say, "Oh, judge, this guy did this thing, give me a game win," kind of thing. Do you think that would increase, or do you think people will kind of continue to play with the same level of integrity that we're playing with now, but just have it be more safe in those situations, or keep it just for stream matches? And maybe if the judge catches certain things and they have to make the determination, what do you guys think about that?
I don't think it should be just for stream matches. I think we just need the standard across the board because yeah, people do this off stream all the time. I do think what Din said about intent is important. Like if you know that the person is maliciously doing it, then that's when like these things really escalate to
Hmm.
like long-term repercussions. But generally, I think just like single game losses and like this type of thing should be more common. I think it it is what it is, right? Like I think we need to create a place where the game rules are being upheld, and if that's not the case, like some people are going to unfortunately get a game loss when they would
Mm.
under a different our current rule set not have that same kind of punishment, even if it was like completely accidental. I do think that it should be up to the judges to sort of note if we're seeing the same kinds of people collecting game wins from these kind of things. But ultimately, from like sharking, I think it is not the hardest thing to spot when somebody's clearly sharking in a malicious way, and there should be some other protocol for that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. Well.
Yeah.
All right, what other drama happened in this tournament? Don't we have more drama? I feel
There,
like
go.
there was so much drama this weekend.
There was drama that kind of came out about a little after the fact, and I kind of spoke about this earlier. And again, I don't want to go maybe I guess we could turn it to the drama show. Everybody wants to hear about the drama. We can talk. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it because this you guys are the pro players. Okay, you guys are the world class cards pro players, and you have a different, unique perspective to yourselves that a lot of players would like to hear from, myself included. And there has been this campaign that has taken place. Again, huge shout out to Braden. I'm not saying anything negative about Braden, but Braden has been making these tweets and pushing this thing and in tongue-in-cheek, or I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek, but it's not as direct, and he's saying that Illumineers that are playing with their decks foiled versus unfoiled might be providing a strategic tactical advantage, and you can potentially manipulate that in a way to gain some type of advantage. He was calling out three-time DLC champion Zan. He was also mentioning one of your good friends, Josh there, Thiago, and having a variety of foils versus unfoils in your deck. Where I'm not gonna say he's right or he's wrong. And again, I'm championing him for saying those types of things and bringing these types of conversations to the air. I think these conversations are important to have. I do think the timing was a little bad, and I think that the tonality of it. I mean, if you're gonna say someone is cheating, you should just say it instead of eluding. I don't like the illusion of it. But Thiago, I know your friend was involved with this, and also we have a multitude of pro players here. I consider all you guys great players. Do you play with mix match foils? What is your situation there, and how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, I've definitely never played with a foil in any DLC, just to never have something like this even be accused. I think like just the accusation is so damaging, and anything like that. For me, I would just never risk like a judge giving a game loss on a deck check or something. So for me, I have the ability to make sure all my cards are non-foil. Like in Richmond, I walked in with the 0-3 lady, the dual link one. I had two regular ones and two League Night promos, and then I was able to trade with my friend to trade my League Night promos for regular non-foil ones, and so I was able to play with like my full deck min rarity. But that's not the case for everybody. I think it's actually the case for a very, very select few people that they're able to just rarity down their deck as opposed to just having what they own. Like I know, like my friend Josh in the specific example lives in New Zealand and they don't have a ton of cards. In the last DLC in Taiwan, it was the week after Zan had won Ghent with his builds that was playing 4 copies of the green uninkable Lady 1 cost, and that was not a card that was typically being played a ton, or at most in 2 copies. So we just didn't have enough copies of the card, so he ended up having to play the tournament with 3 copies when he wanted to play with 4. So the idea that we have like infinite copies of everything and he can just like change to whatever he wants is like not really the case. Like he literally had to play the previous DLC with a deck list that he didn't think was the best deck list, but it was just what he had access to. And so I think that just assuming everybody has the ability to have like full non-foil or full foil decks is a bit ridiculous. I think that Ravensburger prints the foil cards so people can play the foil cards. I think when people are open packs and they're like, this is a foil card I use in my deck, I can go swap it in. Like that should be a good thing. I don't think that it's like a good thing that people see a foil card and they're like, oh, I'm never going to be allowed to play this in a tournament. For me personally, I don't have to, so I don't never risk it. But for other people, that's just like the card that they have. In this specific spot, like I ended up I just posted image of Josh's deck list, responding to Braden, and just to show that like he had a bunch of random foils. It's not like he has this uninkable or that inkable or whatever. It's just like completely random selection of cards. And obviously these players are deck checked dozens of times throughout these seasons. Like I'm sure Zan has been deck checked over half a dozen times with his list. I know Josh has been deck checked over half a dozen times, and I just felt the need to post that in response because I think these things disproportionately hit somebody like Josh who doesn't really have a platform more than they would someone like Zan, even though I don't think it's like super classy to start accusing Zan of being a cheater as soon as he starts having like these historic achievements. But that's just my opinion. I think that
or like it's okay to do it if you're going to just come all the way out with it. You can't just like allude to it. You got to be if you come out and say, hey, this is what I think and here's the proof why, and just say it all the way out. I can agree with that. Or don't say anything at all, especially when someone is like having one of the biggest moments in their professional
Yeah,
life. I think that's kind of
that's the big thing. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like people work their entire life to get this achievement, and then you're like, I think he might have been cheating. I don't know, but like if you see this guy, he's a cheater. Like the Zan and Josh were like Josh was like rank 2 online before this tournament, and Zan was like rank 5, like where you can't cheat. So like they're putting in a bunch of hours somewhere where you can't cheat and having success, and then they get to the tournament, and then it's like, maybe they were cheating. Like to me, that's just pretty awful. And then these things have lasting effects. Like another friend of mine was also accused of doing some sketchy things, and then it didn't end up having merit, but he still gets messages to this day and still takes a big toll on him, one of our teammates. So I think, you just have to be careful when you throw out these accusations. There's something different between being like, this guy did something in this game that was against the rules versus, this guy has a foil card in his deck, maybe just disqualify him or something. It's like very different, right? And so the foil cards are like going through deck checks and whatever, and we've seen people get disqualified for having marked cards, and these players, that's not been the case. Din, I know you used to play with a bunch of foil cards in your deck, and now you're full min rarity gamer. Can you kind of talk to us about that and DLC Milwaukee, and that kind of situation?
Yeah. So overall in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2, I tried to play min rare the most. Not really because of the foiling issue, but I just like commons more than foils in Yu-Gi-Oh! But in Yu-Gi-Oh! You were forced to play foils because some prints are only in foils. In Lorcana, so I was really happy that the decks were always available in non-fall, so I always played non-fall in the beginning. And the first time it started, me playing the Enchanted was when for Melbourne, people borrowed me the Enchanted cards for the deck. So it was, I think, the Rush Maui and the Goofy. I think that's what it. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Deck looks cooler. Also because it was basically the debut of my deck, so the first time I'm really playing that version. Oh, and it started with Let It Go. Sorry, it started with the Let It Go because I played 2, and I didn't want only to play Let It Go because it looks kind of ugly. So I also got the Rush Mario and Goof, and yeah, it was always fine. No
That's
issues
how they
there.
get you, man. Just 2 enchanteds looks ugly. You need to buy 10 enchanteds. There goes your
Yeah,
wallet.
exactly. So yeah, it started then. Then for afterwards, I think continued playing that for a while. At some point, I also stopped playing that because I had to give them back, I think. For Blurple, then it started with Fables. At some point, I was like, bro, the cards look so good, the Dumbo and Bell and Hades. I just bought them. I spent so much money. This was insane how much money I spent on that because they were mad expensive. And I played them. I also, yeah, I got them all. At some point, I also realized, okay, they are printing the iconics. That I also have to use the Hades, right? So at some point, I already wanted to stop doing this foiling thing, just because it just gets too expensive. If they keep printing enchantments and iconics that I have to play, it's just too expensive. So with Demona and Hades, I was like, nah, I'm out of here. But yeah, then Milwaukee happened where they deck checked me. So there was a DLC before that, Bologna, I think. And I played all my enchanted cards then, right? No issues deck checking at that point. Then in Milwaukee, the event afterwards, they deck checked me and told me the enchanteds were quote unquote trackable. Not like you couldn't track specific ones, so I didn't get any punishment, but I had to replace my cards, quote unquote, right? They proxed my deck like 20, I don't remember, was it 12 cards or something?
It was like
Out
20
of the
cards or
enchanted?
something. And then it was like such a ridiculous mix. It was like 1 Finders Keepers, 1
Yeah,
Hades,
it's like
not the
only
other
only
2
one out
Finders
of everything.
Keepers, and not the other 3 Hades, and then
Yeah.
2 Bell, and like not the other 2 Bell. And then I think it originally started because that was right when not the trove, but the gift set
The
Elsa
Elsa,
promo,
yeah.
the 5 cost 2
Yes.
5, was first released, and so that was the first tournament where people could play with that, and it was having a lot of problems. And then Din also had 4 of those, but then none of those were the cards that he had a
Only
proxy. All
one,
of them
only
were,
one of them
and so
got
yeah, I don't
catched.
know. It was just
Yeah,
they
it's
were
like,
backing down
and
on that, and
then
then he was
again,
walking
like
around with a full
we
proxy deck. I don't know.
we checked R later on again, and then they pulled out different kind of cards. So it's like it was not consistent. So that was my point. It was not consistent. The same judge looked at it again, and we put out different cards now. So I was like, okay. It doesn't really make sense to me to switch them out. Like, I mean, it was no problem, right? Like, I played with the proxies, and later on the top cut, I just borrowed cards of people who didn't make top cut, so it was fine. But overall, the entire process felt to me like really random, especially when there was one thing in the beginning, and that's Chinese and Japanese cards are allowed to a certain degree, right? Quote unquote, right? They are allowed. In general, they are allowed. But if they can be tracked, they are quote unquote not allowed, right? So it's like, okay, but the nature of the cards, of these cards, they are trackable by nature because they are just the probably like the double thickness of the normal cards. So I'm like, okay, how does it make sense? And they explained to me like if they see Chinese cards and so on, if, like I don't know if there was like special rule or whatever, but it felt like okay, the enchanted are way less noticeable than these cards. So I'm like always, I was really like confused why they do this in the first place. But in general, I always try to like pull out the faults that went too much and then just straighten them with books or with the hand. You can do both. And then that's why I guess also most of my Elsas were fine. Like the one Elsa probably just curled back. And so far I'm just went back to non-foils. It's not that I don't want to risk anything or whatever. It's more like I really hate foils. I only like enchanted, but again, the cost goes through the roof. And overall, I have to say, like even if I play enchanted, I'm not playing foils because again, I hate foils. I despise especially cold foils. They just look too ugly for me. Um, but for the situation itself, I just don't like how they treat everything so inconsistently. I guess it started with like the different print qualities, like the paper quality, and now we just have this chaos. If they all like go to English and then hopefully at some point fix the foiling issue or fix their policy regarding that, because you can also do it with the policy, then I guess it's fine. Because to be honest, for me, as long as you cannot track like certain cards, like if you have if your deck's like I don't know over half of false or so, I don't really see a big issue like that if you cannot track anything specific. But yeah, it's depends. Like to be honest, in the end of the day, maybe we should just say if you see anything, then just swap it out. Like it should be right. Like they should always do that. But it's always weird when the quality of the cards are a little bit weird. In Yu-Gi-Oh, it's even worse. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, American print cards and European print cards have different kind of prints, so that's even worse there. And there should be much more issues in that regard. But I don't know. I barely hear anything regarding that in Yu-Gi-Oh when there are deck checks. Like trust me, the curling in Yu-Gi-Oh is crazy, especially the American versus European. Like you can feel that, you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there either has to be a blanket rule that just you're not allowed to play with foils in these tournaments, um, or I think it just like is what it is. I don't know. I think you sort of have to just to me, there's a big difference between somebody like make doing a mistake in the game where they get an advantage versus like them just having foils in their deck. Like, of course, you can track if people are cheating with it. Like, if people are eyeing their deck and like trying to see if the card is reflecting or whatever off the like curl, then that's a problem, of course. But I think in general, like if you take all the 2,000 people at a DLC, probably like 1,850 of them have at least one foil in their deck or something. And so to me, it seems like more so something that's too difficult to um, deal with unless there's a full blanket rule. But yeah, like again, I personally have never played a tournament with a foil in it, but I just feel like it's a little bit unfeasible to tell 1,900 of your 2,000 players that they need to buy more cards than they already own, unless it's just like I open a pack, I know whatever the foil slot is not going to be tournament playable. But
Yeah, I don't.
this
Yeah.
one seems a bit difficult to kind of make headway on.
I think that'll mess up the. I think that'll mess up the process as well. But I think it might just come down to printing better foils, or maybe it might be too far gone. Maybe it's just any foil, no matter how they print it, cold foil or otherwise. I think that might be what it is. I think it's going to be on the card printing to make something that's a bit more consistent. Maybe make them lighter. Maybe make them straighter. I'm not sure if that's going to fix the problem, but I don't. I agree with you. I think trying to stop people from playing what is legal to be played is going to be an impossible task, and to ask people to do that, I think would also be a bit of a haphazard journey. But you could try. You can try. Okay.
Yeah, all right. What other drama we got? Surely there was more drama. My
No.
timeline was filled this week.
No, that was it. I mean, we can do a quick thoughts on you guys are pro players going to set championships, and do you guys play on the local level at all, or is just no time for it?
I've played two set championships in the last 7 months. It's fun when I can make it out, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Fede, do you play set
Yeah, pretty
champs?
much the same. I don't usually go to locals anymore. But just, back in the days when I started playing TCGs, I loved going to locals, like with friends and testing things out. But the time has passed by for me personally. I just play DLCs, man. That's it.
Yeah.
It's enough. Yeah.
Okay, because that was a big point.
Same
That was
for
a big
me.
point of discussion about like pro players or jerseys, as they're called, coming to the local
Oh,
area
the
and like
jerseys.
taking all the set championship prizes away from the players because they might not be good enough to win and anything like that. It's a big thing because as someone like me, I care a lot about the local community because that's like the backbone of the game. You must have a strong local scene to keep the game growing and keep it healthy. And if people are just dominating the set championships and traveling and taking those. But I don't know if you guys are going to be doing that. That's I think when you're going to DLCs as much, I don't think you're going to be on the set championship circuit as much, and it's just not enough time. But
Yeah.
I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. Like, is there anything that we can do to make the local scene a little bit more balanced and more welcoming? I would guess to the very new players trying to become competitive.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see the jerseys thing is like in my local scene, like the people who wear jerseys are not like you would never see like us on this team like going to our local set champs with our jerseys on. Like we would just go with like normal clothes or whatever. Like it's not really like a thing. I think most of the people that roll up to set champs like squatted up in jerseys are mostly just like casual competitive players who it's like their favorite hobby is Lorcana, and then they just like made a Discord and matching t-shirts with their friends, and then they're
Hmm.
like trying to take the game a little bit more seriously and trying to improve. But it's like in set champs, the people in jerseys are not professional players to the least bits. They're like the local team in my area, like pretty much everybody has families, every single one of them has jobs. Like they're just, the local people who are they decided they wanted to try to improve when they have the time to, and so they just like made a group chat with each other. And to me, there's no problem with that. I think it's like a good thing that there's people that travel to that like go to all the stores in the area. Otherwise, like these stores with them are already like 14 or 18 players, whatever. This is already like not super good. And so if there was just like not eight of them going to these tournaments, they would all like barely fire or things like that. So to me, it's just like just shows like people want to be involved and they want to try to get better when they have the time and um, ability to do so. And so I really don't see any problem with it, but it is difficult for me to put myself in the shoes of somebody who is, yeah, just getting started and going to their first tournament, and then they see people rolling up with matching shirts, and then feel like they like get all feel like they have no chance and are all intimidated. It's
Yeah.
that was a long, long, long time ago for me. So yeah, it is definitely hard for me to fully put
And
myself in their shoes. I don't know.
to the point where they may not show back up, and that to me, I can see both sides of it, but I do feel that at a certain point you have to take the training wheels off. Like, this is the set championship. This should be your first engagement with purely competitive environment. And if you can't beat them, you just can't beat them, and you got to train and get harder, or train harder and get better, and come back at it again. If you want to quit, then maybe that's just how it is, because this is a competitive thing too, even on that level.
Yeah, I think like the people in my area, at least, who wear the jerseys, like they were going to all of these set champs before they made matching t-shirts, and then they were like still trying to play their serious meta deck before they had the matching t-shirt. So to me, it like doesn't really make that much of a difference. I don't really notice a difference, but I guess it's just like more like the people who all wear jerseys around me are super nice. So like if you sat down from them, you would not think like, oh, this person's here to like take my Tinkerbell promo or whatever. I mean, like this is scary, but I guess it's just like a different world. That yeah, I just I'm not really able to put myself in the
Yeah.
shoes. But to me, is like these were the most competitive people in the area before they all got some shirts that were the same. So I don't really understand it a ton, but these things all go like super viral, so there is definitely like
Oh yeah.
merit to what people are saying, right? Like this is a feeling that a lot of people have. So it's yeah, I'm the problem in this situation, like they all are at the same agreement and understanding, and then I'm like the one who doesn't get it. So yeah, not saying like what my perspective is right or whatever. Probably the contrary.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. I think that, and that, I don't know. It's tough because there are a lot of different people who come to this game for different reasons, and obviously you guys are just on not on that timeline, and that's okay too. I mean, this game is for everybody and everything, and I hope there is some type of benefit for everyone, and they're getting what they want out of their time spending this game, spending playing this game, and maybe people do quit. We might lose some people, but I think ultimately we may gain more people as well in the competitive echelon. And I think that's going to be just as important. I think that's going to be just as important. But man, we got it done. I think that wraps up a lot of the drama. Unless more drama, Thiago. Is there more drama?
More drama, more drama, more drama.
Is there more? Is there more drama? You're a drama.
Dude, I
Get
just
out
want
of
to talk
that
about
drama.
the drama, man.
Get out of that drama. No more
I've been on the
drama.
plane. I haven't been able to talk about drama. What
No.
other drama was there?
No, I think that's it. I think that's all the drama.
Oh.
But we do have some drama in the Wilds Unknown is coming out. Okay, the new set is out. The pre-release kits have already been issued. You know what I'm saying? I got mine. A little content creator, a little buff
Oh,
there.
baby.
That's some drama. I'm not gonna talk about the content creator drama
Oh,
here.
the content creators,
Oh my
man.
god, the people who get
Dude,
the
these guys just get all the handouts. Unbelievable.
I'm telling you, man, the amount of
They
hate that
tell
I'm
all
getting, it's
all us
like,
little guys to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. Meanwhile, you guys are getting all these handouts. What the heck?
come on, man. That's the drama. We're not going to go there on that drama. The content creator drama is going to be what it is. But the new set is coming out. Pre-release is May the 8th. And also, Big Box Store is May the 15th. Make sure you guys get into the Ravensburger Play Hub and get over there to the pre-release. There you go. There's the plug right there on the Procast.
How much are they paying you to say that?
Just a couple uncrushes,
Actually,
too, and a couple
big
boosties. That's it.
Big Ravensburger's pocket. Crazy.
That's it. You guys didn't even give me a congratulations, man. I'm going to the DLC as well. I'm back in the broadcast booth.
Oh, wait, actually?
Yeah, dude. You guys didn't
Actually,
even give
didn't
me
know
a.
that.
You didn't know?
No,
Really?
last I heard, okay, I was under the impression that was not going to be the case. That was
DLC and
excellent,
Indie. Yeah, I'm going back
Let's
into the
go.
broadcast booth and DLC and Indie. So that's
Wait,
it.
congrats.
And
I was,
congrats.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's awesome. I was really missing you in the last one. I have thoughts, but yeah, I would have loved to see you in the last one. Glad that they are bringing you in. I think you do a ton for the broadcast, and yeah, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you so much. I'll be working hard at it. I might need you guys' help to learn some Infinity format. But we do have Wilds Unknown coming out. And I think this would be a good time to hard pivot and shift into the Wilds Unknown stuff. Maybe we can show some deck lists and talk about some cards that you guys are interested to build around and maybe talk about if there's anything you're willing to share. And then maybe we can close it up talking final thoughts on some Infinity and what's coming up with you guys in the future. So with that, we'll kick it over to this screen. We just kind of throw up some cards, man. I know you guys have kind of sent in some cards that you are interested in breaking down in Wilds Unknown. Federico, we can start with you and then go to DKP and go to Thiago and just kind of go around and just kind of introduce some cards that you're interested in. And then when you bring them up, anything you want to talk about them, and I can have it come up on the screen there for you guys so we can kind of break these things down.
Okay, so the first one, chat is I don't know how actually it's called in English. It's called chop, and it should be Dale, right?
Ah, Dale. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The new one.
the forecast.
The 04. There we
Yeah,
go.
Is his name an Italian chop?
yeah, it's chop.
That's
Yeah,
cool, man. I like that. I'm gonna have to come and give me some Italian chops, bro. That's sick. I like that better.
exactly. So I actually love this card a lot. I feel like this card can be used in a lot of new decks. I've been seeing lots of decks, especially yellow green. As usual, kind of dogs. Just imagining, Tramp being a six attacker as well, or yeah, just it's a really good static card, and it can really be a pain to deal with. Um, but I mean, I think it's just in the current format. It can be good. I don't really know in Infinity because I still have to test a lot, especially for these upcoming events. But just an overall good card. Just think about Ursula, the 1/4, just a 4/4, just, being there and trading and singing, just doing a lot of stuff. I just love this card so much. I don't know if you guys have
Mm.
tried it before, or, I mean, it can really be a pain to deal with.
Oh yeah, this card is a mess, man. I actually played a sealed event, and I had this card in my deck, and it's
Really?
insane. Especially like six willpower. There's a lot of six willpower in this set too. Six willpower just becomes basically like an unremovable object. Now you're gonna always get a trade. So this card is awesome. It's crazy design. I can't believe they actually did this, and they could have really nerfed this card a lot and made it significantly weaker by only on your turn or something like that. But they just said, nah, just we're gonna send it out there and see what happens. And this thing came back. This is gonna be probably the most one of the most powerful cards in this set for sure.
Yeah, this card has a lot of people are excited about this card. I haven't seen it do a ton of work yet, but I think it definitely has a strong effect, and there's a lot of characters that like line up pretty well into it, especially in Infinity where like people are playing these characters to try to survive against Let the Storm Rage on. So we see all of these high willpower characters. They're pretty good at using this Dale's effect. We've also seen people like try this in decks that are playing Grandmother Willow, so they're able to play it on turn 3 alongside 2 1-cost 4 willpower characters. So definitely a super powerful effect.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Are we going on? Anything next? DKP thoughts on this card? Anything? Hate it? Love it? It's not purple, so you're out. It's not red. It's not you're out.
Yeah,
It's not
not
blue, so
blue,
he's out.
purple, or red.
He's like, I'm done with it.
So yeah, we're talking about Dale, right?
Yeah.
Just to check. Okay. Yeah, this card looks really broken in my opinion. So I'm really excited to play it myself. I'm actually like um, wanting to try other decks mainly because of him, like trying out the Ember decks. Um, just have to see though how much this actually does in a field where you also have to face like the Sisu and Sisu shift and so on. Um, like
Mm.
you
With
have to be
Infinity.
prepared for that, right? Like people are running that for sure.
Yeah, and they
Like
come down at the
at
same turn.
last, Sisu shift Sisu.
Yeah. Sisu's here. Sisu is so back, and that's going to change everything. All right. Any other cards? What you guys want to talk about? Next card.
Yeah, I'll go. My number 1 card is right behind you. It is the Snow White and Seven Dwarves action. It is pretty exciting to me. We'll see a bit later a purple steel deck list that utilizes this that we talked a little bit about last week, and then I've made some updates to. I think that this effect's super strong, and I think being able to have access to playing these really giant dwarves very early in the game is something that these decks kind of lacked before, that they were playing like ultra fair, and having access to this creates a lot of different possibilities in the deck building, and it's really interesting trying to balance like how many enablers for a card like this you want to play versus how many just like normal, solid, good mid-range cards you want to keep in your deck. Um, so it's been a ton of fun to kind of play around with this one.
Okay. Okay, and you're seven dwarfs. I think that deck might be actually more legit than people will give it credit for too.
Yeah, I've just played a handful of games with it on simulators, but yeah, I have not dropped a game yet, and it seems like it just kind of fits what the shell of the purple steel decks wanted to do already.
Okay, okay. Any other thoughts or any other cards?
All
I'll
right.
go with Mrs. Incredible, the 5
Oh,
cost.
Miss
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, I know the one. And I think this. I like the fact that they have they've created like these like dual mode cards where they can do two things at
Yes.
once. Gives you more opportunities. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Overall, I think this is just a good card. Of course, the fact that you can choose at the beginning of every single of your turn to be evasive or yeah, just to do a trade or whatever you want, you have to get rid of some evasive stuff or just start the race with just gaining a lore. So just a two quester, 5/6, got a good body overall with a good effects. It just makes me wonder if it will be played in some of the blurple or usual
Hmm.
purple stuff. So just imagine ramping and then going to this. It can be a threat, especially when you're like on the play. So the opponents needs to know what they're going to play or to do against it. Otherwise, you're just going to quest. It's a good body started. So yeah, I'm liking this so far.
I know
Yeah,
this is a card that
this is
you're
basically
excited
my
for. Yeah. Do you think
what?
it's gonna fit? I know this is a card you're pretty excited about. Do you think that it's gonna like fit in the current shells of Blurple people are playing?
Yeah, so I really like the Miss Incredible. She was announced in for set 11 already, like not for set 11, but during that reveals, she was announced already. But I misread it first. I thought it was set 11. I was like, wow, we can finally kick Iago because Iago was only there to basically check the other evasives, like basically the genies, right? But now with something like Miss Incredible also, and another card that I really like, the Merryweather, that we probably gonna talk about too. Cards like Genie suddenly loses a lot of value because like in Blur Pool you can develop Miss Incredible on turn 4, which completely denies Genie's ability to quest at all. Like just a 5/6 that is so hard to get rid of. Like you have to use Let It Go at some point, right? Or something like Elsa and then Into the Unknown it. But else, you barely can get rid of Miss Incredible, and I really like that. The body is completely overstated, 5/6. That can choose if it can get evasive or two lore, like being a two lore body, and is inkable is just crazy that they made it inkable. I mean, I like that they make it inkable, but sometimes, they decide to make other cards uninkable, where I'm like, huh, why is it uninkable? But yeah, this card is super strong for that reason. Will definitely be a staple in Black Hole. I don't know yet how many, but I think I 100% kick all the Yagos for this
Hmm.
because the point of Yago was always either use it in the mirror just to lock your opponent's evasives down so they don't do much in the mid and early game. And against Purple Steel, you usually did the curve where you played like Tigger on turn 3 or anything to bait out strength. Usually Tigger also bait out strength, so that was fine. And then you play out Iago on turn 4, which now you can just play out Miss Incredible on turn 4. Now they definitely don't have 6 bodies on board, so they cannot strength her. And also they literally cannot get rid of her, for example. And she will just be sitting there, and then you can use depending on how the board develops, right? And if you have Demona for the next turn, you can decide to give her evasive or not. And a cool thing against Ember decks in general, when they still play the Horseman strikes, you can just decide to not go evasive, right? And then you just give her the two lore all the time and use her um, 6 willpower body to trade a lot. Then maybe with Cat or Bell, you can move the damage. That's like massive, right? So having something that can contest evasive while also dodging Horseman Strike is insane because before you quite often not just play out the Dumbo or Iago or whatever, it just gets hit by Horseman Strike, but now you can just slam down 5/6. They can't really deal with that in core, of course, and that's pretty good, pretty strong. And then if you pair it with the other card that I'm also having my eyes on, the Merry Weather, that's even better when you can just curve out like two completely overstated characters back to back, especially because you're ramping, right? Because you can play that one turn earlier. That's just phenomenal.
And,
Yeah.
and there has to be some merit to that ward as well. The keyword of ward being on this card is quite good too.
Yes.
It's really strong, I think. We've seen people really taking advantage of this Merryweather card. It's really strong in a deck like Blurple that gets to ramp to it on the third turn, and then you present this body that's like really ahead of the pace of the game on the third turn, and then you're threatening things like Demona and Cat to follow it up with, right? So it's able to challenge something, and then it doesn't get removed by a removal spell or finished off, and then it threatens to move damage with Cat, or we've seen people curving like this into Scuttle, into Demona, and then you really are able to take advantage of the board without giving them any strong targets for their removal spells until their board has really been thinned out by Demona's exerting effect. So this is a card that I've seen a ton of people playing with. Something that I'm not seeing a lot of people talking about is Fauna, which is another one of the fairies. She is basically the same as Basil. She is a 1-cost 2/1 with support. I'd be curious, since both of you guys play a ton of Blurple, is this a card you're looking at to play in addition to Basil? If you are allowed to play an infinite amount of this effect, how many copies would you be interested in playing in your deck? Is 4 like the most? Would you play a 5th or a 6th? Would you play the full 8? How many of this kind of card would you want to play?
So me personally, I would actually run 8 if the meta is like full of mirror. Like when we are in the fabled meta, if you had like 8 Basils would be insane because that's all you need to do, right? Basically, like having one drop into anything was already good, but having Basil into the mirror was insane. Like was literally deciding between winning and losing sometimes. And if you had like 8 of the Basil with the fauna, that would be awesome. But now it's not like that. I probably will never go back to that. So the Royal Guard I think synergizes too well with the Demona. Like you're hitting for 4 so many times, or for 5 even, that you cannot replace that. Like you cannot get the value out of any other one drop. Like quite often I am actually like, oh damn, I have a Basil now, which is so much worse than the Royal Guard in this case. Right now I wouldn't replace it just because of Royal Guard. I would actually, currently for core, I would actually play more Royal Guards, to be honest. Like if I could, like 8 Royal Guards, but we can't.
I'm actually a huge fan of Basil, so I don't know if I completely agree, but I play more Basil than Royal Guard. That's one thing. Like 6/2 or just 5/3. That's
The thing is, I don't think you need the Basil now with the development of like the next one. The next big card is Miss Incredible. Like you don't need to win the evade the war of Elsa anymore, right? Like just slam her down and just stick her. So I don't think you need the Basil for this, where you go Basil, 4-drop, Elsa, like this kind of game line. I don't think it's that important anymore. Quite often in the mirror, it wasn't important when I played the last weekend, right, and the last DLCs, because quite often it goes down to like Iagos and stuff, and then Iago kind of already like turns off the Basil advantage.
It's true. Next format, probably with this new card, it just doesn't make sense anymore. But like as you were saying, like back in Fabled format, Basil was just everything you wanted to see turn 1 or turn 2 with Sail, especially in the mirror match. So yeah, it's cute to see that they made another Basil pretty much. But yeah, I think 4 are more than enough right now. So going to this new format.
Yeah. And you guys still think that 8 is like the best number of 1-drop? I know you guys have thought about before playing like a 9th or a 10th. There'd be no world where you'd play like 4 Royal Guards and like 5 Basils or 6 Basils. You think that the 4/4 split and 8 1-drops is the way to go, most likely?
Bro, we don't have enough time to discuss that.
Yeah,
Right. Fauna,
I
horrible.
guess I'd say just depends on how its meta will shift.
Right.
I would play
That's,
10 if I could.
but
10
yeah,
rogue, right?
it looks good. It looks good.
Nice.
All right.
I would play like more one drops, but yeah, no space, bro. No space, no space.
Yeah. The last card we'll talk about is a card that I've been really impressed with in the couple days of Infinity testing I've been able to do. It is the red Jebediah Farnsworth. So this is a card that I didn't even see when I was going through the card list, but then I've been trying some Diablo decks in Infinity, and my opponent has dropped Jebediah on me, and I've not known what to do. We've seen this in a ton of decks, like people playing the red-green discard combo deck, people playing red-blue have played this card. I think it's definitely best in red-purple, where they're already naturally playing cards like Peter Pan and Dumbo, so that this card gets kind of turned on in the mid-game with a little bit more utility. But yeah, if you're playing the green Diablo decks that aren't green steel, you really just can never kill this guy, and he's always contesting your Diablo. So this has kind of been like a sleeper all-star so far.
Jedediah Farnsworth. Man's code name is Cookie. Just straight Cookie. Out there
Cookie.
getting active, man. I like the artwork too. It's a cool card, and I didn't miss the Dumbo synergy that this character provides. I think that's pretty cool. Infinity. You say you've been dabbling in a lot of Infinity. Is there any other cards you guys are looking forward to trying more in Infinity outside of the Jebediah Farnsworth? And what do you guys think that Infinity meta is going to look like? A quick little detour before we go into the core constructed decks.
Yeah, there's a million decks. I think the other most commonly played card right now has been the Merryweather, just the one we looked at earlier, the 4-cost 4/5 with Ward. There's a lot less stats that people are playing in Infinity right now, so this card just overwhelms the board, and people really rely on singing cards like And Then Along Came Zeus or Strength of Raging Fire with some early singers, so that card has been pretty impressive so far. But
I've been seeing a lot of this guy. That deck has been everywhere in the Infinity pools right now. The new Hercules Infinity red green OTK deck that's kind of popping up into popularity. What do you think about that deck, really quickly, gentlemen?
yeah, to me, it hasn't been too strong. I think they don't really have a ton of card draw to set up their combo, but I think OTK decks in general are pretty strong in this game because you can't really like interact with the characters readied. I know you've been discussing this deck a lot, Din. What do you think about it?
About what again? Sorry.
The green red OTK Infinity deck.
Oh, I didn't play yet directly against it. I just saw some replays of friends sending me stuff. Like in general, overall, I don't like these kind of decks, especially in 12 round DLCs, because there's always the consistency issues. I like decks with redundancies on the curve, as well. I always like Blurple and Shark. Like, of course, missing ramp was always harsh, but if I didn't miss ramp, I had so many plays on the turn 3. I have so many plays on turn 4. I was always able to do something strong. Whereas with this deck, it's not like that. You also don't really have a real draw engine. Depends on what side engine you are playing, I guess, but it's not even that strong. It is good if you are going into a meta where people are always trying to go value and doing greedy things, but I don't think it's good if either people know how to counter it or like aware of that and then counter it, or if they are just playing faster decks, playing bot wipes, like ramping into bot wipes, right? The good old ramp into B prep, doing this kind of stuff. Then I don't think it's that good. For me, it's just consistency issues overall. With this kind of OTK decks. I didn't like the Monstro already, but that one is more consistent in my opinion, but because it has the draw engine of Amethyst. But even that, I don't really like to play. It's just the consistency about that many rounds. And like, what can you do outside of that? And again, the Amethyst deck can still do the Amethyst stuff, but what can Red Green really do outside of that, right? Like, what are you actually doing if you cannot pull off the OTK? That's always my question. And then it's like, by what turn can you pull off the OTK? Like, how many copies of each things you need to set up without your opponent disrupting you. Yeah, there are a lot of things where I'm like always like, can it work? Then if Pete decks are getting more popular and they also play the song that prevents you from playing songs, that always prevents you from doing these kind of OTKs. And if they are also a little bit faster, right, they can set up a board, playing out Pete, quest out, play out Pete, quest out, play out the song, quest out, like this kind of things. Like, can your deck manage beating this too? Yeah, there are a lot of this kind of questions you have to ask when looking at this kind of decks.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Something you said that I hadn't thought of was that in core, we saw like the yellow-purple Monstro OTK deck sometimes having the ability to just play like a normal purple mid-range deck with its Genies and Demonas and Hades and Elsa. But these decks are kind of restricted by you have to play all of these combo pieces in your decks, like the We Know the Ways and the Alanadales, which kind of make playing a normal mid-range game plan more difficult. And then in Infinity, you're playing against decks that are a higher power level, but you still have to have these combo pieces in your deck. So then the remaining cards in your deck, the like normal mid-range plan that you can like pivot to becomes weaker, like relative to the power level of the things other people are doing. So it's a lot harder to win games with a plan that doesn't involve your OTK when you're playing against higher power level decks, with just like the filler other cards in your deck besides the combo pieces.
Yeah.
And of course, the prominence of Pete is really huge. All right. I think we can start diving into
Let's do it.
some deck lists so we can get out of here in a normal time.
I agree. I concur. But we'll start with the deck list that you mentioned a bit earlier. You kind of revitalized or revamped this thing from the last week's episode. If you guys tuned in last week, you saw Thiago submitted the Amethyst and Steel 7 Dwarfs deck, and you've made some changes based on some of your recent testing. So can you just talk about this deck and some of the changes you made and why?
Yeah, so this is a deck built around the new right behind you card. It's utilizing the Seven Dwarf synergy with the natural synergy that some of these cards have. So Purple Steel always wanted to play the 2-cost Steel Dock, and now you get to add Snow White, which bounces it to your hand, which is a really strong effect with Dock, of course, because looping it is super powerful. So you're kind of just taking the strong Purple Steel shell. Typically in the past, we've seen these decks have like pretty wonky curves where you have so many options of characters at each point in the curve because it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're doing something and like developing your Strength of Raging Fire damage. So having to play these dwarves is not really that much of a downside. This is just a little bit more refined than last week's list, kind of focusing on the strong Demona plan and the strong 7 Dwarfs plan, as well as just carving out into Strength of Raging Fire. I think those are like the main things your deck's trying to do, so this is just the cleanest way to accomplish all those things. And I think the deck's super powerful. It's hard to say if it's going to be better than normal Purple Steel. I think it's going to depend on the context of the format a little bit, but it's definitely not just like a meme deck.
Sure. Gentlemen, you guys, any thoughts on this strategy? Would you play a deck like this, or do you see some errors or issues as a clean 2-line strat? We'll throw to you, Federico. Any thoughts on a deck like this, DKP, after?
I'll follow Thiago with Purple Steel any day, anywhere. Like, I see more strength, I see Purple Steel, I'm happy. Yeah. I still gotta give this deck a try, but I mean, if he high rolls as well, yeah, I mean, sure, new to 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah,
So-
new 1, 2, 3, 4 with the 7/7.
Yeah.
But I think part of the strength is that you don't need to have the complete nut to get it down on turn 3. This deck's always like seeing so many cards with its Docks and Demonas and Genies and Dumbos that if you end up just like having it on turn 8, you go like play it along with a strong 4 drop or along with a 5 drop. That's just super strong. Just being able to combine it with other cards throughout the game is still really difficult for your opponent to deal with. It doesn't exactly have to be like a 1-drop Dwarf or Princess into a 2-drop Dwarf or Princess. You can kind of just like develop your game naturally, and then you play a Dock on turn 6, and then play Pocahontas with it, and then on turn 7 you play Genie and right behind you, and then like they're so overwhelmed by all the things you've developed that turn that it's really difficult for these decks to come back, since Purple Steel's like always contesting the board on rate. As soon as you like break the parity with an unfair card like this, it's really difficult for them to deal with, even if it's not exactly on turn 3. and having the high roll is nice, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, this deck
Are you
is
scared
awesome,
of this
man.
deck, Din?
Huh?
Let's go.
Are you scared of this deck? Somebody brings their Snow White theme deck to you. Are you gonna start shaking?
Yeah, 1 second. So for me, I had to go into the event to see the deck list.
Oh yeah.
So for me, when it comes to this new decks, I'm for core, I'm always like, okay, what do we have to beat, right? Like, I don't. It's not like wasting time. I don't like to use my time to develop decks that look cool but cannot solve a problem or something. And now, uh, my current like standard is Blood is going to do 4/5 ward on turn 3 into 5/6 into Demona. So, like on the play, if you don't pull that curve up, like you're doomed either way. Um, but on the draw now, like if Blurp is now on the draw, before that you could out tempo them with like the well time strength and so on, right? But now, if they just go into that 4/5 into 5/6, how do you beat that? How do you actually beat that?
I mean, if they
Um,
were doing that against normal purple steel, like the purple steel would fold, right? This just, you're not really giving up a ton to have the potential of randomly just playing a big guy. I think that's why I like the deck, is that it's not like you're ruining the deck to play these kinds of cards, and it's like, yes, there's hands from decks it'll lose to, but if you were just not having the Seven Dwarfs package, you would still lose to those exact hands, right? It just gives
yeah.
you an opportunity to sometimes not lose to them because you high roll to 7/7, or yeah, but basically what I like about it is that you don't cut any of the like key pieces. So like the way that you would beat those hands before is like you go like 1, 2, 3 strength, and then maybe you have another Elser strength to follow up with to tempo them out, and then you have like Demona or Cat. But you don't like cut any of that, so you don't like make yourself worse into any of those spots.
Yeah. And you still cut a few things from what I can see, like Calhoun. Calhoun's not the princess, right?
No,
Calhoun is not a
she's a
princess.
she's a princess in my heart.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
she's
Calhoun
pretty.
is missing. That can be huge into something like dogs. Um, the Snow White itself is not that great,
Yeah,
to be
she's horrible
honest.
on 3. Yeah.
Uh,
That's the biggest
you have
problem
a
with this
lot
deck.
of big
It needs some
stuff. Like
more
you,
3
you
drops.
cut actually a few things here and there. Like Hades can matter.
Yeah.
Way less evasive, I think, right, for the Dumbo too.
No, just 2 less genies, but usually they're not even playing that many Dumbos,
There's like some draw cards that are missing. Like right
and you
now,
have
sometimes
Bashful.
like Blurple gets overwhelmed by something like if you just play out the Yisma that it's just one more thing that you cannot out, and then you just lose because they just draw 3 cards next turn. Like it is kind of changing the dynamics for sure. But I always like seeing this kind of theme decks because I'm coming from Yu-Gi-Oh! And we only had theme decks, tribal decks basically. So this is really cool to see, and I hope it works. And because if you can pull it off, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
It can be dope. It can dope. But the meta is going to take time. Obviously, these are going to have to change once the meta gets rolling. But we got another one here. So this one is going to be courtesy of Harlan Sweet. Shout out to Harlan Sweet. Sapphire Steel back at it again. Looks like a nice little 2, 4, 6 build, but we're going to lean on that Merida a little bit there in the middle to go with the Strength Rating Fire, and he hurled his Thunderbolt. We also are singing Beyond the Horizon in this deck. No arrows, no fire to cannons, none of that stuff. No, this is a core constructed deck. So what do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I think I don't really understand the Beyond the Horizons. I think they could just be other cards that are not difficult to cast uninkables, and you would probably get more out of it. I think the problem with these decks historically has just been sometimes you don't draw Cinderella, and then the deck does not function super well, or sometimes when you're on the draw and you play Cinderella, that's also not enough because you're like passing turn 1, passing turn 2, and then playing at 2, 3, basically passing turn 3, and then you start playing the game on turn 4, which on the draw is like really, really difficult. I don't know. You were playing these decks a lot, Din, when Cinderella first came out. Why did you kind of like um, position yourself away from them, and do these new cards help it at all, do you think?
In general, Cindy decks, I just didn't like the payoff. I think the only crazy payoff deck that I like was Green Blue. because you just ram into the things, and even if you top deck the Cindy later, it was okay-ish. But 1 second. For this kind of decks, so my issue with Blue Steel in general was there was no board wipe. You just get into like higher and higher ink, sure, with the Cindy and more board say, but the deck is rather slow, and you need to keep drawing the pieces in the right order, like really the right order. You can run out of steam so fast, it's crazy, and yeah, every time you don't draw the Cindy, it's horrible. Like it is really horrible. Every time you like there's not enough redundancy for me. Like if you miss the Cindy, like you can of course go T-pull into sale or sale into sale, but it is not as good because you're missing the singer. Because the turn 4, you're developing your first thing. Your opponent's already 3 turns doing something, right? So you're severely behind. And if you cannot do a small strength or like Thunderbolt in between before they develop more, it doesn't really matter. So it's like that was like my biggest weakness. That every time I missed Cindy, my deck was so bad. Every time I had Cindy, it was really cool, really good. And yeah, in general, the bricking issues later on, like top taking Cindy's is so horrible. Which in green blue is not that bad because at that point you already usually put yourself into a winning position where you just board wipe your opponent or loop them so much with the your caliber combo that you are winning, or you actually needed a Cindy just to set up like Singer 8 or something like that. But yeah, in this deck, you just have way less in that regard. And I know, for me, it always feels like quite inconsistent in that regard.
Sapphire Steel, not so bad. What do you think, Fred?
Well, I'm pretty sure Thiago and Dean said
Yeah,
everything
everything you
about.
say. Yeah.
But like Blue Steel, pretty much. Yeah, what I really hate the most is that you don't have another 4 draw besides like Angel, and like you gotta see another ramp in that case, so you can just play your Goliath or whatever on turn 4. But like on the draw, it looks like a little bit too weak, in my opinion. And especially like if you don't draw Cine, the deck just implodes by itself. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? But I'm pretty sure that if you can assure yourself to draw Cindy, like, the deck's pretty good.
Okay, just self implosion the deck. Okay, Merida's not going to be able to save you from implosion. I do think that Merida card might be kind of good, especially in Infinity with Grab Your Swords. All right, another one we got coming up. This one is Humble's red yellow toy box. You're playing a lot of the new toys. You're also playing that Headless Horseman in there as well with this new Sid. And I'm telling you right now, this new Sid is a lot better than I thought he was upon further investigation. I think he pairs nice with a lot of these low-level toys, and he can do some crazy stuff. I can kind of remind you guys of the Sid effect if you don't remember off the top of your head. But Sid is a 6-cost uninkable guy that says. Let me read it real quick just so I can make sure I'm saying it correctly. When you play this character, you may banish another character of yours. If you do, each opponent chooses and banish one of their characters. So it's got like a Glimmer versus Glimmer kind of thing going on and built in. Also, during your turn, whenever a toy character is banished, you gain 2 lore. So a lot of these toys have on banish effects, and then he can gain additional effects by banishing their stuff. And I think that's kind of cool. What do you guys think about this deck? Is it too cheeky, too cheesy? What are your thoughts on this on the pro level?
Yeah, this deck's interesting because it's like pretty much all new cards. It literally has like 50 toys or whatever, and all of these are new. So I think it literally has like I think 8 old cards that aren't from the set. So really maximizing the new stuff. But yeah, I think it's just like not really on the power level to fight with the other decks, but you do take advantage of some of these cool effects like Sid, like the baby head, and I think these cards pair kind of nicely with a card like Candy Drift, which lets you draw a card and then trade away a character and then get all these effects that you get when one of the characters is banished on your turn. So yeah, doing some really cool things. But I think just the early characters that you're playing throughout the curve are just not efficient enough. So that would kind of be where I would where the deck would kind of lose me. So but yeah, super cool deck.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I'm a huge Toy Story fan, but like I still gotta give this a try, so I don't really have consideration. I just saw, the searchers are pretty good. Gotta search for two toys, but still gotta read pretty much the other small stuff. So I'm just gonna stick with what Thiago said.
Wait. You say you're not a big Toy Story fan, man? You got to lock in, man. That movie's great. Why you
I
like Toy
say
Story?
No,
he
no,
is
no. I am a huge.
I thought you said you. Oh, I thought you said you're not. I was about to fly to Italy, and I was about to come over there. It's about to box, man. It's about to be on. No, you can't be
No,
no.
man.
No, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
joking.
yeah.
I'm joking. No, this deck looks also kind of fun, kind of interesting, something to try out in the early set, and then it's one of those decks where you hope it could be good, and then when the set matures, you're like, back in the toy box you go, and then go back to the meta strats as it may be. Okay, it's a cool one though. Shout out to this deck. Shout out to
love
Humble
it.
as well.
Yep,
Cool deck.
love
Cool
you,
deck.
Corey.
All right. We're going to the next one. This one is DeCandio. The new sets come out. He is a employee for Ravensburger, but every new set comes out, he'll hop back into the Dreamborn, start pumping out some decks, and he's doing just the same right now. And he has this DeCandio Woody Songs special. This deck looks super powerful, and it might be gearing up to be one of the better decks in the format. I think I've heard early reporting indicates that the Amber and Steel Woody deck seems like it's quite viable. It has a lot of draw engines, very consistent strategy. What do you guys think about this deck?
Yeah, I mean, it's taking a lot of the strong things from Amber Steel that is one of the top decks in the current format. And then it's using this ham card, which lets you kind of accelerate out some of your big things, which is what the deck was trying to do before. We saw that the deck list that reached the finals of the last DLC cut the Grandmother Willow, which kind of makes a lot of sense because the deck was playing a lot of two-cost characters, and it was uninkable and just a horrible top deck for a deck that had such little hand economy going into the mid-game. So having the ham in to still accelerate out your big cards, but being a card that you're able to ink when you want the flexibility to be able to do so seems like a good inclusion. I guess you're not playing enough toys to play the Jessie. That card looked really strong to me, so I would try to figure out a way to do that, but I guess you just don't have enough toys to activate it. I thought Nani was a really important card in this deck just because you didn't previously play other 3-drops. So if your Akuds got discarded with Ursula or Mowgli, you kind of wanted a backup plan to play Nani. But maybe with the ham being able to be played on turn 2 and then ramping you to a 4-cost on turn 3, it becomes less important. And yeah, being able to have the ham lets you play big cards like this Goliath. It's a card that people kind of walked away from in this format. So it's kind of interesting to see it make its way back. But we just know that this shell is so strong, so even if the toy cards end up making it better or not, it's kind of hard to see Amber Steel not being one of the contenders in this format.
Yeah. I like the Woody too. I think Woody's actually sneaky good in this situation. And you don't really have the willpower to be able to play a card like the new Dale or AKA Chop. He can't fit in here too well.
Chop.
But Chop might not be. This might not be a Chop style deck, but this one does look quite nice. And I'm actually interested in trying something like this to potentially start the set off. Troubadour being able to sing. You have the Ethereal Voice. That's a little draw engine. The Stitch is a draw engine. The Woody is a draw engine. The Goliath is a draw engine. The Akuda and Moody, you can gain some cards there. Candy card there. Doc is still going to be gaining. So you have ways. You have like a ton of different ways to keep your hand going to propel yourself. So seems
you
like
can summon Doc of the Woodies, right?
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah,
You're cooking. You're cooking.
Pretty
yeah.
strong.
Another 4 months being represented from Doc.
Yeah.
Yep. Doc he's like a cockroach. Doesn't matter how many nuclear explosions, it's still there.
Oh man, if they reprint Doc, I'm gonna have to quit, man. I'm sorry, guys.
No way.
He's got to get out of here. He's got to go. He's had his fun in the sun. I think it's time for Doc to get out of here. But these are some cool decks, and these are something that I'm definitely interested in trying. And I'm sure there are going to be more decks. I like to keep it a little off meta myself, but when I get in my meta bag, maybe I can go into this Amber Steel deck, or maybe some of the decks you guys have submitted. So maybe I'd like to pick your guys' brain and see if we can make some other decks that people could try to play. But everyone at home that might be watching, what do you guys think about these decks? If you like them, man, tell us, get in the comment section and let us know as we are shooting this live on Metafy. For everyone who's a part of the Metafy, you guys can engage with this live. But if you are watching this on YouTube, hop into the comment section and tell us what you think about this and all the things that the pros had to say as we're going back to the starting area here. What a show. We learned a lot. We covered a lot of ground, Thiago. We went through the drama. We went through some cars. We went through some decks. We laughed. We cried. We had a good time. I think the European shows are better, I think, so far. No offense.
Whoa.
No
Drama.
disrespect.
More drama.
More
JDC
drama.
says he
Yeah.
prefers his European teammates to the Americans. More drama. It never
You
ends.
got a good taste. You got good taste.
Yeah, I think the European, maybe it's just a time zone too. The Friday, a little Friday vibe. It feels nice. I think the Americans, we got to step up there on the American. Even on the American side, we still have a lot of Europeans there too. Like Frank comes in on the Tuesday shows. So there you go. But this was really great. I had a good time, gentlemen, and thank you again for coming by and sacrificing your time. And I'm sorry it didn't work out, but congratulations to you, DKP. And I'm sure you got to go back to Brazil now, right, Federico?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both had to go back. Actually, it's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be good. That's gonna be good. I'm excited for you. All right, but as we start to close the show, I'm gonna kick it to Thiago. If you want to do some giveaways, or we want to save that for another episode, maybe, or if you want to start breaking down the show and close the show, because we are actually over the time, I think.
Yep. We are very over time, so we'll speed run some of the giveaways. We are giving away some Wilds Unknown troves, and as usual, we will give you guys a little question for you guys to respond in the live Metafy chat. You guys can, of course, watch these videos on YouTube or live on Metafy before the YouTube video comes out. So make sure to check out the link below if you want to join the Metafy and be a part of the giveaways. The first giveaway will be, I will give a question. It's going to be involving something we talked about in the episode. I'm going to ask, what is the name of the fairy that has the same effect as Basil from the new set?
Good question.
So we talked about...
Can I answer this and get the troll, please?
No, we have some instant responses. But the correct answer was Fauna. Merryweather is the warded one. So there were some of those, but yeah, the correct answer is Fauna. So that is going to go to CJ Max 215. Congratulations, you got that super quickly. JDC, do you have a trivia question for another giveaway? And then we'll pass it to Fede and DKP if you guys can each think of a question.
I'm gonna keep my giveaways. You guys are the pro players, so I'm gonna take it back to the more of the social aspect of it. Okay, in the new set, Wilds Unknown, coming out May 8th and May 15th. Okay, they introduced some new locales, not locations, but new areas in the realm of Lorcana. Name one of those places. Okay, there are 3 of them. Thiago, can you name one of those places? If you can't, don't give up the answer. But after this is over,
I'm never winning this giveaway.
Name one of those places. Okay, any one that you can think of off the top of your head. And I'm checking the chat right now. Anyone, you guys should know this. Leviathan's Lair. No, that is incorrect. Dueler. There are 3 places. Close. CJ Max is actually close. Okay, close. It's not the dry sea. Okay, come on, lock in. You guys are terrible,
genuinely
man.
No idea what. I have to jump into the lore.
Not the Barren Sea. Oh my goodness, man.
What about the island of No Man Isn't?
That's a location card that is coming out in the set. That is not what I'm saying. Okay, there are 3 places. They're not even locations. They're places. There it is, right there. Georgian, give them the prize right there. There is the Great Empty Sea, the Wildernot, and Torchlight Peaks.
Yeah, I was never getting that in 1 million years.
I got a postcard. All right, I'm going to the Great Empty Sea.
Nice.
Georgian gets a prize from me.
Perfect. That is another giveaway winner. Fede, do you have a trivia question for a giveaway?
Okay, I got. What is the DKP's favorite card from the new set? A suggestion: going to replace Iago.
Easy.
What is DKP's favorite card? Okay, we have an answer from a winner already, so we'll see if
double winner.
Somebody steals there.
Dueler with the steal.
Nice steal. That is correct. Misses incredible from
Yay, good job,
nice
guys.
answer to Dueler. Was able to earn himself a Wilds Unknown Trove. All right, for the final Trove, DKP, do you have a question for the giveaway?
DKP's gone. He's not here with us.
Okay, how?
Oh, there he is.
That's interesting. How many 500 Mickeys have I earned so far?
How many serialized Mickeys out of 500 has DKP won so far?
Oh, easy. Quick. JMBN. Yo, shout out JMBN. Guns up. In the building. With a 6 piece right there.
JMBN.
What's that?
Is that correct?
correct.
Wait, is it 6
Six is
out of
not correct.
500 Mickeys, or is it? Oh, it's not correct.
6 is not correct?
Nope.
Six is not correct.
Yeah.
What?
Is the
that's fine.
specific wording of the question. So yeah, I didn't know.
Oh, you.
How
oh,
many
you.
serialized out of 500 Mickeys does he have?
Oh, that's sneaky. I see.
That is correct. 5, because he has the 1 of 1 Mickey. That is one of the 6.
Oh,
So
come
5 out
on.
of
Come
500.
on.
He used very precise language.
Lore
But,
guide.
yep. Josie was the first one to get it anyways.
Damn,
so-
Josie, no, the rich
Oh,
get
yeah.
richer.
The rich get richer
No.
is crazy. The rich get richer is crazy.
Dude, lore guide, dude. Oh, man. I'm calling judge. That was good. That was good. Good little trick question. Good little trick question. That was a nice giveaway. Okay, cool.
All right,
But yeah,
so,
this was great. All right, so I do think this was a great episode. This should be up on YouTube in a couple of days. We're working on getting the YouTube a little bit better. As the pros are super busy, I still want to really thank you guys for coming through and taking the extra time to do this, to kind of give back to the community, help build the community. You do have a lot of fans and supporters out there, so it's important that you do this show to keep engaging with your community as they cheer you on. Whenever you guys were featured on stream, you had a ton of support in the chat. I was telling Federico that, DKP that, unfortunately, Thiago, you didn't get a feature match this time, but there was a lot of support cheering you guys on from all over the world when you guys are traveling. So it's very important that you guys take this time to give back to the community, to the people that are standing behind you and help propelling you upward. So please continue to do that, and I'll continue to help where I can as well. So it's been great. I do cheer you guys on, and what's coming up next. So as we start to close the show, we always like to end with what are you doing next, where you're going to end up, where you're going to be. And we'll start with you, Federico, go to DKP, and close it down with Thiago.
First of all, thank you so much, guys, especially from the support you showed me, throughout this DLC. A lot of things going on, so we just gotta wait a few to see if something's gonna happen or not. But still, anyway, thank you a lot for the support. And so currently now, next month, we got DLC Dortmund, then Indy. So preparing for those. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna be doing few One Piece tournaments once in a while. So yeah, keeping those things in check. And yep, that's pretty much it.
Right on. DKP, what's on the calendar?
Yeah, for me, same. Like I try to do all the DLCs and as many continentals as I can. So the next ones will be Indy, Dortmund. What's next? Manila, like these kind of ones. Yeah, that's like my schedule right now for Lorcana.
Okay. Right on. Okay.
Same for me, just getting ready to play all the Infinity DLCs. It's really exciting to play a new format. I think that it's been a long time since we've played something so undiscovered. It really feels like a lot of the core formats we're playing have been the same since rotation, and I'm kind of sick of playing Blurple into Purple Steel, into Green Blue, into Dogs for the 7th month in a row. So it's kind of exciting to dive into new waters.
Right on, right on. I'm going to also try to meet you guys in Dortmund. It's still up in the air if I can make it or not. It'll be great to come and hop into the player pool with you guys and join the world-class crew. As maybe you guys can coach me up and get me a golden Mickey myself, but that'll be nice to be in Dortmund. But I for sure will be in Indianapolis as a member of the broadcast team. So I will definitely see you guys there. Maybe come and share a hug and get a picture, and I'll be cheering you guys on secretly, though. I can't, it'll be a secret cheer, but I'll still be cheering you guys on and hoping that you guys can perform well and take that tournament down as well. But gentlemen, I think that's the show. I want to thank you guys all for being here again on Metafy. You guys are great. Everyone on YouTube, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel, and tune into the next episode where we take a deep dive into the realm of Infinity as we are starting to crack that format open. So you guys got some homework. Maybe you, Thiago. Let's get some Infinity decks built together so we can kind of share our thoughts and opinions on that format going into next week. Is that cool?
Yep, sounds great. Thanks everyone for watching. See y'all next week.